So I think some of this section may be familiar to you, but it's worthwhile going through some of the key points again, as fluffing this up may well end you up in a lot of hot water. So your references part basically is the bit where you list the references you refer to in the main structure of your report, and your literature review and the guidance from your supervisor will provide a little bit of a clue as to what you want to include in this particular section. But do remember, of course, that your paper must be a self-contained document. You cannot assume the reader has read anything else when you're preparing your paper. In terms of references, as I explained when talking about writing the literature review, there is a hierarchy of credibility with journal papers and conference papers right up at the top, and down at the bottom you have number 5, a bloke in the pub, and number 6 you have Wikipedia, and the reason for that, as I've said earlier, really is that you have some idea of how reliable this person here is at talking about the particular topic, whereas Wikipedia doesn't really have an author. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Wikipedia is great. I spend a great deal of time looking at Wikipedia for useful information, but for a final year project at a world-class university, referencing it is a good way of ensuring that you don't succeed at getting a good mark. Now, just again to remind you of plagiarism and copyright. Now, the two are sort of independent, and I guess the first one is the one you really want to worry about. So plagiarism is basically cheating. It's basically taking other people's works or ideas as your own and not actually referencing it properly. So you can commit plagiarism, which generally is also a breach of copyright. But copyright is a little bit less serious. What you need to worry about with copyright is, rather than not getting a degree, is someone coming and suing you. And the chances of that happening are relatively small, but do remember that copyright basically ensures that only the original creator of the work has the right to copy it unless they give you permission. You generally can't just take stuff from other people's papers. And the key point, I guess, about copyright and plagiarism is in both cases, just remember that cut and paste is not a degree level skill. Okay, you know, cutting and pasting something from a document is something that a child can do, and you've moved on a little bit from there. And if you do copy and paste stuff from other documents, even if you acknowledge it properly, so it isn't plagiarism, and perhaps it is a breach of copyright, but it still doesn't add very much to your project report. You're still just using someone else's work where you could be explaining to people what your unique contribution was. One thing to say is projects are checked for plagiarism using a automated, wonderful, evil database that checks you with every other piece of work ever submitted to it, so on and so forth. We've had very, very few problems with this in this particular institution here. That's basically because you have to sit and conduct an oral as well, so you may as well write the paper. Otherwise, you can look like a bit of a fool really when you come and can't talk about things in your project oral. But it is checked. It's more of a formality than anything else. But do avoid both of these things when preparing your project report.